Living longer, living healthier, living better than ever before. Welcome to Mountain Pacific's Healthy Living for Life, a weekly series that gives you the information, education, and expert insight you need to become an active participant in today's ever-changing healthcare climate. Here now is today's program host.
Most of us get our driver's license as teenagers and never look back. For decades, we rely on what we learned about cars and driving at the age of 16, 15, or even younger. But cars have changed so much over the years. So have traffic laws, weather conditions, and even the roads we travel. Welcome to Healthy Living for Life, a show dedicated to helping you do just that. I'm your host, Beth Brown. Today, we offer a driver's refresher course with tips even the most experienced drivers can use. Welcome back. In the last couple decades, cars have undergone major transformations, especially when it comes to their safety features. We begin this morning talking about how cars have changed and what you need to know to make sure you're properly using the latest safety features. Carl Peel and Don Harriet from AARP's driver safety course join us this morning. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Carl, let's start with you. We're going to talk about a lot of different safety features, but it's important to note that no matter what the features are on a car, the most important aspect of safety is the driver. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, that's definitely true. The driver is control of the vehicle, but there are a lot of technologies out there that he needs to understand what they perform to help him drive safely. He has to remember that they don't make his driving or him invincible, and that he can drive more aggressively. So he's in control of the vehicle. Has to be prepared, be aware of his circumstances, the weather, the roads, himself, so that he can drive appropriately.
Perfect. Okay, so let's jump into some of those safety features. So we're getting into the thick of winter, which for a lot of drivers means snow and ice. When I was learning how to drive, when I hit ice, I was supposed to pump the brakes. And now with newer features, you're not supposed to do that anymore. Don, can you talk a little bit about today's braking systems and how you should respond if you slip?
Well, today's cars all have anti-lock braking systems, ABS. And with an ABS system, you're supposed to stomp, stay, and steer. So you don't pump the brakes. You stay on the brakes, and you'll probably get some sort of a reaction from that pedal, or you'll get some noise, a chattering, and but the important thing is to stomp, stay, and steer.
Okay, perfect. And so ABS is one of those safety features where the driver needs to know what to do in order for that feature to do what it's supposed to do. Are there other newer features that are like that the driver needs to use correctly in order for them to properly respond?
Well, there are. There's stability control is one of the features on new cars now, which transfers power to the wheels that need it. And this helps electronic stability control, it's referred to. There are backup cameras for when you put your car in reverse. The camera turns on, and you can see in the screen where you're backing up. And there are other features that help the driver with other functions.
Okay, and then there are some other features too that can actually help people from getting into an accident. Can you talk about those a little bit?
Well, there are quite a few features that our technology has provided for vehicles. Cruise control is one of them. And cruise control has been around for a long time, but the newest part of cruise control is the adaptive cruise control, which is different, and it allows, when it's on, it sets a distance between your vehicle and vehicles in front of you. So if you get closer than that to the vehicle, it will actually slow your vehicle down, ultimately to the speed of the vehicle that you're behind. And if you pull out to pass them, then your vehicle would speed up. Other features that vehicles have are blind spot detection, which there will be an arrow maybe on your outside rear view mirrors that flash when there's a vehicle in your blind spot. Some vehicles have side assist, which is similar to blind spot, and that it detects vehicles in that blind spot, and if you were to try to change lanes, the arrow or whatever on your mirror would flash, and maybe you would get an audible sound that says there's something there. Then there are some vehicles that have features that detect if you're getting drowsy, and you'll get messages on your screen, or maybe even something else that indicates that you probably should pull over and rest for a while. There are advanced warning systems that detect if you're going to run into something, and it will actually brake for you. And we've seen quite a few commercials on TV for that feature. And another feature that's out there are the lane departure, where if you deviate from your lane, you'll get a beep or some sort of a signal that you're leaving your lane.
Wow, and so those are super helpful for folks. Of course, another major safety feature on a lot of cars are seat belts, and older folks actually are very good at putting their seat belts on, but they are also more likely to get seriously injured or even killed in an accident, even with their seat belts on. Why is that? What makes older folks more susceptible to injury or a crash?
Well, we're getting less flexible as we get older. We are more likely to be injured when in a crash, and when we're younger, we don't have that near that danger.
Are there things that people can do to help prevent injury in a crash, even if they have their seatbelt on? Exercises, for example?
Well, to stay flexible, good exercise is important, and as we get older, we can't turn our heads as far to look to see in the blind spot. We can't turn our bodies as well. We can't get in and out of the vehicle as well. We can't put our seatbelt on as well. So exercise is helpful to keep us more flexible.
Okay.
Another thing about seat belts, and it has to do with the airbags, that when you're in your vehicle, you should be at least 10 inches from the steering wheel, that if you happen to be in a crash and the airbag deploys, it doesn't hit you in the face and potentially cause injury.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, thank you. We're actually out of time. We need to go to a break, but coming up next, how to drive in different kinds of weather. We'll be right back after this. Thanks for staying with us. Nearly 6 million car crashes happen every year in the United States due to hazardous weather conditions. Sadly, those crashes claim thousands of lives. How can you help prevent a weather-related crash? Carl Peel and Don Harriet have stuck around to talk about driving safety tips for different kinds of weather and road conditions. So let's start by talking about snow and sleet and ice, since that's the time of year we're going into. What are some safety tips for driving in those kind of weather conditions?
First and foremost, slow down. It's that time of year. We've got snow on the road. One of the best defenses is good tires. Have good tires on your car, but good tires will only go so far. You need to stay farther behind the vehicle in front of you. The technical term for that is headway, but allow a longer headway. Keep enough space around you and the other vehicles near you so that you have a chance to react if the road conditions are not perfect and if there is snow cover or snowpack. But first and foremost, slow down.
Okay, great. And when that snow starts to melt and the ice, it can still be dangerous, right? With slush and wet roads.
Can be slushy, and slush is a heavier product than rain, but it's still mushy, and hydroplaning on slush is usually can happen. But then again on the brakes, on slush or on snowpack, stomp, stay, and steer in the direction you want to go.
Okay, thank you for that. And you know, a lot of people don't necessarily think of rain as being dangerous, but actually nationally, weather-related crashes are often due to rain and wet pavement. Can you talk about some safety tips that we should keep in mind when we're driving in rain?
Carl.
Yeah, in driving in rain, you know, those statistics are startling, but probably because the areas that have a lot of rain have a lot of people and a lot of cars on the road. So visibility becomes a problem, whether it's from the rain or the spray from another vehicle. So in the northern tier states, people slow down when it's snowy and icy, but they probably don't have that same feeling that it's as dangerous driving in rain. So they need to slow down when it's raining and keep space between them and the vehicle in front of them.
Okay, perfect.
And another thing related to that has to do with hydroplaning. Vehicles are becoming lighter nowadays, and if you're driving fast, you can start hydroplaning at speeds over 50 miles an hour. So keeping good tread on your tires is important, and tire pressure.
Okay, and what should you do if you hydroplane?
You should take your foot off of the gas pedal, and then when it's raining, you shouldn't have your vehicle on cruise control. You should have had that off already. So take your foot off the gas pedal and slow down till you can feel you got traction again.
Okay, let's talk about another one. How about fog?
Fog's, it's somewhat similar to rain. You know, if you're driving in fog, you should slow down, have your headlights on, don't be on cruise control. Make sure that your visibility, probably want to turn your defrosters on so your windshields don't fog up on you, and maintain your visibility. And if it gets too foggy, you probably should pull over and wait for it to clear a little bit.
Okay, and then just to cover all of our bases, high wind can sometimes be a problem, especially with taller vehicles, but people in normal cars can kind of feel that too. Any safety tips if wind really starts to pick up?
Wind can be a problem, especially for taller vehicles. RVs, if people own RVs, that of course is a consideration. But even SUVs and passenger sedans can be buffeted by the wind. And here again, slow down so that you have more traction. The slower speeds give you more traction, more control. So slow down.
Okay.
I would add to that, making sure you have both hands on the steering wheel. A lot of people drive with one hand.
Yes.
And in high winds, two hands on the wheel for sure.
Okay. And when it comes to driver safety, let's talk about car maintenance a little bit. How important is it to keep your car up in its maintenance when it comes to driver safety?
Very important. Very important. They keep your tires in good shape. Don't run on bald tires. Make sure that the pressures in the tires are appropriate. Get them rotated in a timely manner. Check the fluid levels that in your vehicle. Make sure the battery and all of the fluid levels, especially in this time of the year, have the reservoir for the window spray filled with appropriate fluid. Make sure that the windshield is clean, both inside and out. Inside of the windshield can get a bit foggy from the upholstery materials. And your headlights and taillights should be clean and clear. Some of the new headlights now have plastic covers. Those can yellow with age. Those need to be maintained. So a good thing to do is to walk around your car. Do a 360 walk around before you get in it, and make sure it's ready to go.
Okay, great. Would you add anything to that, Carl, about maintenance?
No, he's covered most of it, I think.
Perfect. All right, so just really quickly, we're almost out of time, but if someone does break down despite keeping their car up to maintenance, any advice for folks who have to pull over to the side of the road?
First, get as far to the right as you can. If in most cases, it's get over to the right side. Occasionally, if you're in the left lane, you might have to go to the left, but get off the road as far as you can safely. Don't brake suddenly, but steer carefully and get off to the side of the road. Turn your hazard lights on. Make sure and if it's dark, turn on your interior light. Check and then check again, and then check the third time before you exit your vehicle, before someone takes that door off going by at 70 miles an hour.
Okay. Great, gentlemen. Thank you so much. That's all of our time. We need to take another break, but coming up next, traffic rules and laws have changed over the years as well. We're going to talk about those right after these messages. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Even with decades of driving experience under your belt, it's always a good idea to get the latest information when it comes to traffic laws and driving recommendations. Joining us now is Officer John Cook from the Helena Police Department. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Can we start out by talking about something really simple? When I learned how to drive, I was always told 10 and 2 on the steering wheel, but evidently that's no longer what people are teaching folks.
Well, nowadays, most newer vehicles, they all have airbags. So what the recommendation is 9 and 3 or even lower on the steering wheel than that. And the point of that is just to keep your arms out of the way in case there is an accident and their airbags go off, so your arms aren't in the area to where they're going to be pushed into your face.
Okay, that makes sense. So how about following distance? That was another one that I was taught, that you always keep 1 car distance between you and the car in front of you for every 10 miles per hour, which is a little bit tough to think about, but now they have a new recommendation for that too, right?
What they're teaching is a 3-second rule. And what that means is you pick a point on the side of the roadway, whether it's a sign or a post, whatever it might be. And when that first vehicle passes that point, the recommendation is it should take you 3 seconds to get to that point. But again, it's going to determine on where you're at, whether it's in a city or out on an open road.
Sure.
So a good rule of thumb is the more distance, the better.
Okay, all right, perfect. Okay, so let's talk about intersections, because that causes problems for older drivers. Statistics show that about 1/3 of fatal crashes involving older drivers happen at an intersection. So first of all, any idea on why intersections cause problems for folks who are a little bit older who are out on the roads?
As people age, they may start to have issues with their vision, whether it's peripheral vision or depth perception. As far as intersections go, it's important to remember that the first vehicle that goes up to the intersection needs to stop before the stop sign or a crosswalk if there is one, or a stop line. A lot of intersections don't have painted lines, so you just have to make sure that before you enter that intersection that you're sure the roadway is clear. Also, it's important to look for pedestrians, people on bicycles, and be a defensive driver. Don't assume that other people are going to necessarily stop. People on bicycles, they may go through the intersection, even pedestrians, kids, adults, you just never know what they're going to do. So just make sure that it's clear before you proceed through.
Okay, and let's talk about right-of-way. That's another one statistically that we see can cause folks some problems. Can you give a little bit of a refresher on who has the right-of-way at intersections?
Sure, let's talk about a 4-way stop. The vehicle that first gets to the intersection, he gets to go through the intersection first. However, if there are 2 vehicles that arrive at the same time, the vehicle to your right always has the priority to go first. But again, you got to make sure that everybody else is stopped and aware that you're going to go through. So.
Okay. And then with stoplights, then we rely on those a lot to tell us when to stop and go. What do we do if we come to an intersection and the stoplights are out?
That's a good question. That does happen from time to time. You're just going to treat a intersection with a stoplight that's not working like a 4-way stop.
Okay, perfect. Another driving situation that statistics show becomes more difficult as we age is just making a left turn, especially at busy intersections. So are there some safety tips about folks who are a little bit nervous about making left turns?
Anytime you're trying to make a left turn over a busy roadway, if you're uncomfortable with doing that, whether you're older or not, you're probably going to be able to just go around the block using right turns, and you can probably proceed through the intersection just going straight through. Might take a little extra time, but yeah, if you're uncomfortable at all making a left-hand turn, there's usually another way to address that problem.
Okay. And sticking to intersections, something that's popping up more and more are roundabouts. And I know a lot of people who aren't a big fan of those, but statistics show that they're actually safer. Can you talk about roundabouts a little bit?
Yeah, it does take a little getting used to because they are newer, especially in Helena, but there are some being made. Anyways, they do slow traffic. The important thing to remember with roundabouts is if a vehicle is already in the roundabout, he's going to have the right of way. So anybody who's about to enter the roundabout, they have to yield to the traffic already in.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about if we find ourselves in an emergency situation. A lot of accidents are caused by what's called roadway departures. What exactly does that mean?
That can mean a lot of different things. I mean, there can be a lot of different factors to why a vehicle leaves a roadway, but that's exactly what it is. Whether it goes off the side of the roadway or crosses the center line and goes into the other lane, that can be caused by fatigue, impairment of whatever sort. Animals, environmental factors, there's a long list.
Okay, and we're actually almost out of time, so just really quickly, do you have any advice for folks who might want to learn a little bit more or get a refresher in driver safety? Where can they turn?
They can do research online, or they can simply find a local law enforcement agency, one of us, Highway Patrol, anybody, and we'd be happy to discuss that with them.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Officer Cook. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have today. We hope you learned something about how much cars and driving have changed over the years. Be sure you stay up to date on traffic laws and how to use new technologies in your car so you can be the safest driver you possibly can be. Until next week, stay fit, stay well, and stay healthy for life with Healthy Living for Life. Thanks for joining us and have a great week.
Healthy Living for Life is brought to you by Mountain Pacific Quality Health. We'd love to hear from you. If you have suggestions for future programs, visit our website at mpqhf.org or call us at 406-443-4020. You can also catch us on YouTube by visiting our website and clicking on the YouTube icon. Special thanks to Fire Tower Coffee House and Roasters. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions.